Also in Egypt, no luck today in the efforts to dislodge a large container ship that has now been stuck in the Suez Canal for 5 days. After signs of progress yesterday, workers were hoping today's high tide would finally do the trick, but it didn't happen. The White House says it's offered resources to help reopen the canal. Closure of the crucial waterway has created delays in the global shipment chain. Joining us tonight with more on the financial impact of the blockage is Daniel Stanton, better known as Mr. Supply Chain. So, Mr. Supply Chain, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so about 12% of the world's trade passes through the Suez Canal. It usually handles $10 billion a day in cargo, more than 50 ships passing through the canal every day. And we're told it could take weeks to free the ship. So put this in perspective for us, how crucial each day is when it comes to the global supply chain.
It's really huge, right? This is a choke point. It's a single point of failure in really so many of the world's supply chains. So if you think about for America, North American, European manufacturers or agricultural producers, a big part of our market is exports to Asia. And certainly, we all see every day, how many of the things that we buy are made or produced in Asia. All of that goes through the Suez Canal, right? Because the alternative is to ship things around the whole continent of Africa. Depending on the ship, that could be an extra week or 2 weeks and at least $1 million. So this is a big shortcut that everybody uses. It's a key choke point in lots of supply chains. Right now, it is shut down completely.
There are so many things that go on behind the scenes in terms of consumers every day and the things we use that we don't even think about. I keep thinking about the livestock, all those animals that are running out of food and water on those ships and how that will impact Africa and Europe. What are we going to feel here in the U.S.? Is this going to affect Wall Street?
It could. It could. I'm with you. I'm really concerned about the livestock. The good news is I've heard that they're doing things to make sure that they've got food and veterinarians available there. But that's something a lot of people don't think about is live animals, making a journey, and then all of a sudden you get stuck. The truth is, though, when you talk about Wall Street, first of all, it's hard to think of a product that isn't going to be affected in some way by this, right? Because even if the products aren't, imported or exported in their current form, so many of, the products that we use and that we depend on have components, right? Some ingredients that come through this channel. And so if even one of those components gets blocked, all of a sudden, you can't operate your factory. You can't make your products because you're missing that key ingredient. So the good news is that most supply chains have some inventory. They've got shock absorbers. They've got buffers to help accommodate this. But the longer it goes on, the bigger the chance that we're going to burn through that inventory and start running out of things because they've been delayed.
And we're talking about everything from cheese to car parts, right? Talk about also this particular moment in history for the supply chain. It's already been impacted by the pandemic.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. So for people that work in global shipping, we already had a crisis because there are a limited number of shipping containers in the world, those boxes that you see on board the Ever Given and other container ships like that. Because of COVID hitting last February, March, we had this global imbalance of containers. So there probably weren't enough containers to start with, and the ones that we had weren't in the places that we needed them, right? And so you have to wait for somebody to empty out a container so that you can put something else in it. So we were already dealing with a crisis and a shortage trying to get that container inventory rebalanced. Now this issue with the Suez Canal is going to exacerbate that problem, right? And so it creates what we call a bullwhip effect, where, in the supply chain, there are some places where you have these mountains of stuff, more than you can process, more that you can consume. And in other places, you can't get any of what you need, and so it causes shutdowns.
Okay, quickly, we only have about 20 seconds left, but you have written extensively and studied exactly this type of scenario. So after the ship is dislodged, what are the necessary steps going to be to recover the supply chain, and how long do you think it'll take?
Well, so the big thing is nobody should panic. We've got time. This is there's going to be a delay before we see any of the effects, and we should use that time to plan and prepare. We're going to have to see whether the ship is damaged and whether the canal is damaged to figure out what the next steps for that cargo are. But as soon as we can get that ship out of the way, things should get back up and running fairly quickly. So that's the big question, is how quickly can we get it done, and how little damage can we do to both the ship and the canal in the process?
All right, Daniel Stanton, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.